How do, ladies, gents and others, it's me, Royston Shaw, mainly just tired, and we're back on BBC Radio, back with a Sleep Token radio edit, but this time it's a little different because Sleep Token will crack the UK top 10 in the singles chart, something unheard of for a mock rock metal band. I didn't mean to say mock rock metal band, and that was just an auditory typo, but that kind of leads me to my next point. I'm sure lots of people will say they're not rock, they're not metal, they're pop. Based on what you're about to hear, maybe they are. What do you think's happened on this radio edit? Well, let me tell you, it's nowhere near as egregious as the last time I covered this, but there's still a problem. Let's get into it. So we start off fairly okay, I think.
As we kick off at 10 with a mammoth new entry, Sleep Token and Caramel.
Out like sirens, babe, I'm falling good.
Not too bad. We just kind of cut off the beginning, straight into the verse. I don't mind that. When I made my radio edit, I did that too. And yeah, the guy talks over it a little bit, but not too egregiously. And then from there, I was going to play the whole thing and do that again, but from there, the song kind of just plays. It just plays normally. Well, until...
Do you know how ridiculous this is?
Your man starts talking over it right before the most emotional line of the whole thing. That's not the one from the end. That's not the I thought I got better but maybe I didn't from the end. That's from the one right before it gets heavy. That is horribly done. And then they play the heavy riff, but only kind of.
Seemingly becoming as important as like Linkin Park work.
But just with the guy talking over it, comparing Sleep Token to Linkin Park and the impact they're making. Very complimentary, but also kind of condescending to cut the end of their song off and just waffle over an edited version of it. They edited that part of the riff to just go on and on and on, while he waffled until he eventually fades into playing Chapel Roan's awful country song. I like Chapel Roan, but that song's terrible. I hate it. I don't really like country, other than Chris Stapleton. Chris Stapleton does country amazingly. Everyone else in contemporary country is horrific. Anyway, like, that's a huge moment for rock music in the UK. Like, our rock and metal scene in this country is fantastic. I've said that for years. I think it's better than pretty much anywhere. I think the only other country that could even be comparable is Australia. And I'd say our scene's better. And this is something that I think the scene has deserved for a very long time. I mean, the last time I could see, in my 20 minutes or so of half-assed research, the last time I could see a top 10 single from a rock band was Kings of Leon in 2010, with Radioactive getting to number 7. I know there were people saying Kings of Leon isn't rock, it's pop. You know, it's 4 dudes, 2 guitars, a bass guitar, and a drum kit. That's a rock band. I know their sounds very soft, but you know, we take what we can get at this point. But even so, that's 15 years ago, and so this is a huge moment for the scene. But they cut the end of the song off. They cut the metal part off. So all that you really heard was the kind of, you know, reggaeton, Ed Sheeran-esque part, and then the part where 2 comes in and does some proper drumming over that same kind of beat. You skip the part that is rock, the part that is metal. So it's like Sleep Token have been allowed in, but only kind of. You know, they're not really... Well, they have to be allowed in because you people, have streamed/bought Caramel enough that it's number 10. So they can't not play it. But they've got as close to not playing it as they could. They've played the acceptable parts of it and left out the other part. And it reminded me of something that happened a little while ago that I didn't talk about at the time. And that was Not Loose and Poppy being on Jimmy Kimmel. And then the ridiculous things that people were saying. You know, as I was trying to enjoy the programme. I was sitting on my couch with my son, who is an adolescent, waiting to see the musical guest because we like the nice music the show usually books. by the third or fourth junt from the guitars, my son was in tears. He doesn't like scary things, and quite frankly, I think the Jimmy Kimmel staff should make a formal apology. That wasn't singing. Anyone can yell lyrics and get paid. That was not enjoyable, and you can't understand more than 5% of the lyrics. Moshing does not equal dancing. I didn't talk about it at the time. Lots of people did. Like Nick Nocturnal's video on it was really funny. But yeah, this is the mainstream view of metal. Let's address these complaints, shall we? Well, adolescent, so I'm guessing kind of 12 to sort of 15. So for them to cry because of the sound of some music, I am assuming that this person is at the very least susceptible to sensory overload, and I kind of get that. But that isn't a thing exclusive to metalcore or hard rock or metal. Like, bad dubstep would do that. Bad drum and bass would do that. Where this kind of, even good dubstep and drum and bass could do that. Just where the big hits come kind of out of nowhere and they're really big and really loud. The good shit, in other words. So for this complaint to purely just be about them when, I'm sure Skrillex has been on Jimmy Kimmel multiple times. Just kind of a bit weird. And also because then we like the nice music the show usually books. Like what? Like bland pop. Like people... I listen to pop. Pop is not a bad word to me. I've said it multiple times in recent days and weeks on this channel that I listen to pop. But I do kind of have an issue with people who only ever listen to the absolute mainstream fodder that they're given. Like, if you don't even attempt to branch out just a little bit and just find things for yourself and take a step beyond what's immediately in front of you, I'm not even saying you have to go my way into like rock or metal or into the other stuff I like synthy stuff. Anything, literally anything. Again, you don't even have to like music, really. When people say, "Oh, I'm not really into music," like the famous, I think it's Twilight, isn't it? Oh, not really into music. Like, what? But at the same time, like, I'm kind of fine with that. But if you're gonna do that, don't then rag on people who do like rock or metal or something that isn't just bland Taylor Swift songs. It just annoys me. I like the term junt as a sound that guitars make. I am going to be using that. It doesn't like scary things. That's really funny because it's not scary. That wasn't singing. It literally is. People call it screaming, fry scream, whatever. It's all just use of the false vocal cords, and it is literally a singing technique. You are factually incorrect. Anyone can yell lyrics and get paid. No, they can't, and they don't. Lots of people try, and very, very few of them ever get paid. This was not enjoyable. That's opinion. In my opinion, lots of the other musical acts that get booked on these kinds of shows are not enjoyable because they're just dull. And you can't understand more than 5% of the lyrics. I kind of agree. Kind of agree with that. You have to want it. You have to want to listen. Moshing does not equal dancing. Again, factually incorrect. Moshing is a form of dancing. It is a movement to the rhythm of music, which is what dancing is. Why do people not want metal? I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm never going to get it. Because it's one of my favourite things. And I'm not saying that everyone has to like what I like. But why is everyone so opposed to it? Like, like, there was backlash to Imagine Dragons. But no one's ringing up TV shows and demanding a formal apology for Imagine Dragons having been on. No one's doing a radio edit of Imagine Dragons and cutting off the end of the song because it goes too bland. It's silly. It's really, really silly. Put some respect on rock and metal's name. Put some respect on Sleep Token's name. Play their fucking songs. Play the guitar bits. Play the scream bits. Stop being pussies. Until the future, drive safe.